Good afternoon, Chris Sims, Chief Community Architect with First Integrity Mortgage. And I have a distinct pleasure today of interviewing not only a good friend, but somebody I've admired in our industry for quite some time, Joel Farrell. Joel, it's a pleasure to have you here, buddy.
I definitely appreciate it.
What made you want to write the book?
So from a time frame perspective, Strive for 25 is something that I have notes on my phone. Me and Soleil sitting at a Starbucks. I think this is like 2016 when we were at Pulaski Bank. Just going through notes and the idea of trying to help somebody. At that point in time, I guess I was in my early 30s, and it's like, okay, I bought a house. I bought the next one. Oh my God, 5 years into it, this is actually working. Like, values are going up.
Yeah.
Your renters are paying things down. I'm like, you read the books, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and real estate is so slow. You put money in the stock market, maybe you do some trading and things are so much faster than it takes 5 years sometimes to be able to see the fruits of your labor. And so oh my God, if you can just put a little bit of money away and put it on autopilot and take the thought, the guessing out of it and just automate things and put some money away and be able to invest in, maybe you put some in your 401k, your stocks, and maybe you invest in real estate, you have a little bit of a diversified portfolio. If you can do that stuff early on and the power of compounding, all the boring stuff that no one wants to think about when you're 25 or 22. But just, not in so much reinventing the wheel, but okay, if you can automate some of these things and make things simple and start small, what's possible in the future? So the book kind of stems from that. The podcast going back 5, 6, 7 years stems from that.
Yeah.
I think if 2022 wouldn't have happened, and I'll get to what I mean by that. If 2022 wouldn't have happened, the book, the podcast would have been hollow.
Yeah.
Hollow in the sense of, Tony Robbins and, Stephen Covey, all these people all these great thought leaders that are out there have already done it. They've already put all the things out there. They've already shown all the roadmaps and the power subconscious and habits and all the do it, all the stuff. So why would I have anything more to add on to that? And, there's a book called Winning by Tim Grover.
Yeah,
and
it's a great book.
He talks about the greats, right? They look at time differently.
Yeah.
The most people, they count down to a deadline, 3, 2, 1. Oh shoot, half-ass this thing to the finish line. And Kobe, Jordan, they count up.
Yeah.
To deadlines, 1, 2, day 10, day 100, day 200. So going through that content made me realize, okay, maybe it's my job to go find the people who need my help, my voice, my unique perspective, because all the greats, the Tony Robbins, they've been doing this for decades, but 56% of Americans don't have $1,000 saved. So clearly not everybody's received the message or is able to put the work in. So I kind of shifted the way I was looking at things. Okay, it's my job to go find people who need my help. And 2022, what I mean by that is...
Love that message.
Yeah, 2022, man. Rates went from 3s in December to May in the mid-5s. And then
February,
June,
they were in the 5s, right?
Yeah. And then June, we're in the 6s. So just everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
And I started to think, because we've been through this. We've been through the cycles. Things have happened. This happened so fast. Oh, my God. What I'm doing is probably not going to be good enough.
Yeah.
And... June, I had an amazing closing month.
Yep.
I think I closed $3 or $4 million, which at that time, things were already slowing down. But the number of applications just completely fell off, and July was terrible. And so the pain, I saw the pain coming of people in our industry, but just across the country in terms of inflation and what was happening. And as I got down into doing this podcast and meeting people and realizing there are people out there that are doing things in a certain way to be able to generate extra income.
Yep.
And that's really where I started focusing more on in terms of my content and ideas and connections and trying to be able to share more stuff. And for someone who's 25 or 35 and you have maybe less responsibility, maybe you don't have kids, you have more time to be able to devote, it's an opportunity. If you want to get ahead, to put the work in right now, because most people aren't going to do it. Put the work in now. Save some money, even if it's $100 a month. You start doing that, and it's not about the money; it's about the habits. It's about the process. Because if you can do it $100 a month right now, imagine what you can do in 5 years.
Right. Well said. There's a great book out there, The Richest Man in Babylon. Talks about saving 10%, giving 10%, right?
Yeah.
So that way the money isn't the control of you. You learn how to live off the 80. I love the idea of the 75, in all honesty. finding a ways to live off the 75% of the income that you have so that you can truly benefit and have a future. And you came from humble beginnings. It's not like you started with a huge war chest of cash that was left to you in an endowment or a trust, right? I mean, you started like all of us did. You went to night school to graduate and get a degree, right? I mean, you totally did everything on your own accord and built it from yourself, from having literally nothing as a college student working at the melting pot to now having real estate portfolios and having a very successful mortgage career and the opportunity to build and continue to inspire others. It's I mean, some of the interviews you've had have been absolutely awesome interviews, and a lot of it I think just goes back to your ability and your grit to one, not stop, just like you said, take little steps, keep pushing forward, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of it, just have the balls to do it, which most people don't. They just they come up with all the excuses and the reasons why they can't, and you haven't. You've pushed that aside and moved forward. So my hat's off to you, man, as always.
I appreciate it. Well, I mean, that goes back when I met you in 2013, 14 and changing companies from the bank I was at and being able to sit down with you and come up with some strategies with capital markets and products and this and that to be able to really find a niche, attack it.
Yep.
And I was kind of got into a new niche. I had been doing a lot of military VA loans before, and then got into a different niche with builders and this and that, and crossing state lines and having this kind of, high level vision of what's possible and, being able to connect with somebody that okay, I see the value in that. I can see what you're doing. Let's figure out how to do it. Let's roll up our sleeves and figure it out. And that's kind of just to kind of bring it back to today. That's what brought me back.
Well,
that's what brought me back, right? Like that connection. And, we're in just weird times in our industry.
We are.
And I think it's going to take creativity to
100%
excel.
agree. And I, something else that you said in there is that you didn't let boundaries be a barrier for you, right? It wasn't, well, I'm a loan officer in St. Louis, so I need to just focus on St. Louis and find a way for me to just do loans in St. Louis. No, as opportunity rolled in, you found a way to expand that, whether it was in Virginia or it was in Maryland or Florida or Texas, and it's just continued to abound, and you didn't let the boundary be the issue. And it's, as somebody who's spent a lot of time with loan officers, and loan officers will give you the excuse, well, this agent doesn't want me working with that one, or they found out that I was doing stuff over here, that, I've got more business coming out of this spot over here, right? And look at it. If you did a good job for them, what do they care, right? Like if you delivered on the service expectation and you exceeded what their hopes and goals and dreams and desires were for that transaction, then why wouldn't they keep doing business with you? And you've done that your entire career, which has been amazing, especially like as somebody who suffers with the ADHD, right? And trying to stay focused and stay on task when any little squirrel runs by and can have you ping, 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 right? And collectively, you've been able to do that and deliver on the service that got you one of the best builders on the East Coast and develop a relationship there that you became a preferred lender for them. And you're in St. Louis. Like, it's just, I mean, the guys in Virginia and Maryland have got to have been cursing. Who's this guy?
You're right. Well, I think it's so interesting because, you hear the word, failure and struggle and all these things are important to the process. And, whatever your circumstance is, right? Like, you can look at it as an opportunity to knock you down or an opportunity to get better or learn something different. Like that job at Citibank, I was inside sales.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared to go on the street and go get business.
Yeah.
So it was a major transition when I went to the outside sales world. But that job with doing business in multiple states gave me the initial perspective. Okay, this is just how you do business. Why do I need to be restricted?
Yep. And
so that just was a circumstance of my journey that led to certain things and opportunities. And so the pain of 2022, I wouldn't have a podcast. I wouldn't be posting on Instagram if that pain, that fear of the unknown, fear of, is this all going to collapse? That struggle, that pain, that fear is what pushed me to start doing these things at 9:00 at night.
Right.
And so that failure, that fear, the pain, those are opportunities.
Right.
And so I wouldn't be looking at those as opportunities without other things happening along the way in the books and the conversations and all these things. It all just connects.
Yeah. Completely agree. I've always likened it to trying to run a marathon or a half marathon or even a 5K, right? That today, if if I was to get off the couch and go run a 5K, I might be able to finish it, but I'd be suffering the entire way, right? I would feel dead and tired and exhausted. None of it would have been enjoyable. But if I got up and I walked a little bit, maybe ran for 2 minutes, walked a little bit, ran for 2 minutes, and tried to find enjoyment in those little bits, right? Those little pieces of it, then it finally gets to a point where, well, now I can run for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And it, as I had progressed in my journey of trying to accomplish an Ironman, right? That was the whole day. I had to find fun in those 5-hour bike rides, right? And
sounds terrible.
Yeah, it was miserable at times, right? But you had to find the joy, like, the fact you're outside, it's a beautiful day, and, regardless if the wind's 25 miles an hour coming at you and keeping you from doing your average 20 miles an hour, right? This was one of those pieces that you just had to start slow, find the little pieces of enjoyment. And I think it's the same with everything we do in life, right? And our best, every time I hear someone say, well, when was the best times you had? Well, it was when I was going through that pain and I figured out how to overcome it and continue on. And then I saw the beauty on the other side, right? And our industry has been very faithful at keeping us humble on that side, right? I mean, like with the changes we've had, all this, the nuances and the differences that have come, and a lot of it we've created ourselves too, but our industry has definitely been faithful in making sure that we have a new horizon to overcome every couple of years, it seems like. So you're right.
Yeah, it's just, because to run a marathon or a triathlon or what was the word what did you say?
Ironman, yeah.
I mean, obviously it takes discipline, right? To be able to put the work in, to go however long it's going to take.
Yeah.
And you see on social media, you got to have discipline. And it's like
David Goggins, right?
Yeah. And, I love David Goggins, right? But when you hear a 5-second clip of whoever talking about discipline, I always think to myself when I hear that, like, you're missing out a different part of it, because some people maybe just be born with it. But like, I developed discipline from the ground level up with some of these things. And you can build it from scratch if you want it enough and go through a process. And so it's like, don't just wake up out of bed and have discipline. You build it from something small and grow it. And so that's the thing that I think people may not always be aware of.
Oh, completely. I believe discipline is the conscious decision to recognize you need to do something you don't want to do, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is it's very easy for us to go, well, I don't want to do that. That sucks, right? Who's the Navy admiral that talks about making your bed every morning, right? If you want to have success, make your bed every morning, right? And because if you can't start your day out doing something right as soon as you put your feet on the ground, how are you going to do the rest of the day, right? So it makes total sense. Well, Joel, it's been an absolute pleasure sitting here with you today and having the chance to converse and go back and forth. If you don't have it, check it out. Like you said, it's on Amazon for $3. It's not like you're going to go broke buying the book and you just might become a millionaire. Check it out. See what happens.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.